Welcome to another episode of Worthy of Rescue. In these podcasts, I and my guest bring you a scripture, a topic, a biblical worldview that can help you walk out your daily life, trusting in the God that created you. Today, I want to read an excerpt out of our book, Worthy of Rescue Pursued by God. This section is about the dark night of your soul. Many may be familiar with the term, the dark night of the soul, but many may not know its origin. The poem was written by a Spanish Carmelite monk and mystic. This monk taught that the one who is seeking union with God will have to pass through personal experiences of Christ's suffering and crucifixion before they can attain glory. Much like Catholicism or other religions, this poem teaches people they have to earn their way to peace, attaining God's favor through penance. But this is not true. I was listening to a sermon one morning. The pastor was reminding us Christ was beaten for our iniquities, and by his stripes we are healed. Then he briefly glossed over the fact that Christ spent the night in the high priest Caiaphas's dungeon. I had forgotten about this truth and began to meditate on Jesus' suffering. It was not just for our sin, our physical healing, but his suffering extends to our mental health as well. During Christ's darkest moments, alone in the dungeon, and the horrific moments on the cross when God turned away from Jesus, he understands the pain and suffering that we endure in this life. Let's look at the scripture. The waters closed over my head, and I thought I was about to perish. I called on your name, Lord, from the depths of the pit. You heard my plea. Do not close your ears to my cry for relief. You came near when I called you, and you said, do not fear. You, Lord, took up my case. You redeemed my life. Lord, you have seen the wrong done to me. Uphold my cause. This is Lamentations chapter 3, verses 54 through 59. Brian, Rebecca's, Sandy's, and my story in the book Worthy of Rescue, Pursued by God, they're much like this story of Jesus. We've cried out to God when we walked in our wilderness years, and when we remember our childhoods were not like childhoods of others. Some of us had abuse. Some of us come from a broken family. Some of us come from a disconnected family life. But Christ is there. He was there when we walked away from him, seeking help from a foreign God, one that was made by human hands, one that could not help, seeking oblivion in drugs or alcohol, sexual immorality, trying to numb the pain that we were walking through. We all have walked through a dark night of our soul, but there is the God who created you. Never did he intend for mankind to live this way on the earth, but we have free will. We live in a fallen world. It's man's tribulations upon mankind that some of us suffer and have to endure. But this, my dear listener, is not what the Lord intended. He cries with us when we cry. He did not create mankind to be slaughtered. He did not create mankind for genocide. He did not create mankind to be stuck in addiction or abuse. He created mankind to love him and to be loved by him. He created mankind for eternity, not for the lake of fire that was prepared for the demons who rebelled against his authority and were cast out of heaven. My dear listener, cry out to God in your darkest night. You are pursued by the King of the universe. You are pursued by his beloved Son who gave his life for you. You, my dear listener, are worthy of rescue and redemption.